everyone, and welcome to our Thursday Global Spotlight. My name is Daniel Crane, and I am the Program Director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. Every Thursday, we are talking to organizations, entrepreneurs, and individuals who are building things in the creative industries. This week, I'm really excited to introduce our first guest, our only guest. I'm on a talk show, everybody. Our first guest and only guest, Darryl Hurs, is the founder of Indie Week. He's also the director of market for CD Baby. And we just had a really interesting conversation offline about kind of all the things that he's building and his kind of take on the virtual space and, how we are going to progress as an industry moving into the future. I don't really want to talk anymore. I want to have a conversation with him. So let's bring in Darryl and say hello. Hey,
Hello.
Daryl.
Awesome.
My
Thank you for
first
having
guest.
me. Yeah,
Yeah, my first guest. I love that. So, Daryl, I think just what I'd like to do is start off just with a little bit of background. Kind of your history, and then what you're doing right now, and then we'll kind of get into the question part.
sure. I started basically I think most people want to be a musician in bands. So I was a guitarist, studied music, did a lot of stuff. I was always kind of like the business guy in the band. And so that led to booking venues. I also learned desktop publishing. And so I got into website development and branding. I worked for Live Nation as a freelancer for about 8-9 years, rebranded the company, uh, launched VIP Nation for them. And while I was a venue booker, saw a need for emerging artists and DIY artists in the Toronto area to get a platform where they can meet industry and get a bit of spotlight. So I started Indie Week. We did Indie Week for a number of years also in Ireland, and that moved to Manchester. Brexit sort of came on, and so we stopped doing it in the UK and focused on Canada, which is also sort of like international, bringing the world to Canada and working on export. And we've launched online, and we're going to our second year. Next week is Indie Week #2 online edition, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and what? So the development behind Indie Week, and it seems like your focus has been, how do we develop industry around emerging artists or
Very much.
independent artists? And the focus is, so there are obviously many different routes an artist takes to have success. Obviously you have your top 40 artists, and there's kind of this route for a lot of people, not a lot of people, a very small amount of people. And then there's the vast majority, which are indie artists, who are building their careers maybe with themselves, or are connected with smaller labels. Can you talk about just kind of the ecosystem of being an indie artist now?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a number of talks. I'll do a quick plug. We also do an online chat every Tuesday. And if it's called Indie Weekly, it's free, 4 p.m., indieweek.com for info. But if you've attended, you've heard me say the phrase "people add value," and more than ever, I really believe get to know your fans, your audience, and so many times the questions are, how do I make more money? And I'm like, sell more things to more people. I try to keep it real simple. Uh, it, Sell more things to more people. And if you have less things, you really need more people on top of that. So, if you really focus on community and really getting to know your fans, and this digital space allows you to do that like never before, you have to treat that each person is the lifeblood of your career. They're the ones that buy the tickets, they're the ones that buy the merch, and you want them to continue to buy that. So if you tour next year, they're going to buy tickets. If you tour the year after, they're going to buy tickets. So really focus on fan based, and you don't need a lot. The really
That's a great point.
Yeah, and I'm working on a mentorship that'll take place probably February, March, April, sometime next year. Future proof your career. Really focus on that, and you really only need 1,000 fans where you can end up actually making about $100,000 a year. And it's not that much work, truthfully, to get there. We're actually doing it with Indie Week, and we're proving it to ourselves. We're using these as I prepare this mentorship. We're actually using a lot of these techniques so that we're successful online. Um,
Right.
and if you think of it, could I get 10 people from each province in Canada that will maybe join me online, right? Could I get 10 people from Germany and Italy and Spain and Portugal? And if I could just work on that. And then what about the next year? Maybe they tell a friend. So maybe I almost double my fan base in all these areas and I haven't left home. So it's actually kind of exciting to be able to work that way, but you have to be genuine. You have to really connect with fans and get to know them, you know. Um,
Yeah,
it's important.
I've always had that thought about, even if, the people that lived on a 3 block radius of where I was, if they bought, if, I don't even know, like 20% of them bought my CD, I would be able to live off of it. The amount of people, even in a major city, um, you know, on a small scale, like you're saying, like if you have 1,000 people who are dedicated fans that can provide, a living. That's a wonderful point. And can you talk about, has it changed? So Indie Week has been around for 25 years, I believe, right?
I think we're actually at 19.
19 years. So has the focus really been just develop your fans for those 18 years? Um, and now it's like, okay, now you have even a better chance to do it with the internet. But has the kind of ideology behind Indie Week been pretty consistent with, this is really how you make a career out of music?
A big part of it, yes, but also you have to have your business in order. You have to put out quality, like your music needs to be quality. Your show needs to be top notch. Like you have to think there's so much competition. And,
Hmm.
and that's one thing is you have to understand it's a game. And I try to put this metaphor, like I'm in Canada, so hockey is like in our blood practically. So
Right.
it's just like hockey, there's X number of teams. There's a off season where they try to get everything together, trades and firings and hirings and things like that, the strategy. And then there's a preseason training camp, and then they go in through the season. At the end, they're going to the playoffs, and there's one winner that wins the cup. And then they try again next year. And there's teams that are highly successful, and they haven't, like Toronto, that hasn't won a cup in like 60 years or something. But they're one of
Right.
the richest teams in terms of merch sales and
Right.
tickets pricing, and they're sold out all the time because of popularity. So you have to think of it a little bit. It's like a game, and the competition is fierce. So are you on top of your game? Are you consistent? You know, um, and I look at it as, there's things that like make you a pro, or are you on the farm team?
Right.
My nephew played hockey, and like, you know what? He got traded. Did he get a choice in where he went? No. Did he get a choice in what color of uniform he's wearing? No. If the coach says you got to be here at 6 a.m. to practice, you got to be there. And if you don't do those things, you're just off the team and you don't have a chance. So there are things that you have to kind of think, what's the framework? And I got to learn how to bend the rules, but I need to know the rules and things like that. And I think a lot of times the system is the way it's set up right now is there is no framework for artists when they're starting.
Right.
And so they're just trying things, and it's based off of opinion a lot of times. Oh, I think this. And they're like, well, a lot of artists tried that already. It didn't work. So maybe try
Hmm.
something else. So I think a lot of it is just there's simply no framework. There used to be development deals from record labels.
Right.
Now record labels expect you to already be developed, and they just want to jump on when you already have a fan base. So a lot of the focus has been education on how to get your business in order, how to build fan base, and here are things that you need to do. And we try to put talks together that will be things like strategies, PR, distribution, how to make money through publishing, how to get everything in order through metadata now.
Right.
And we also try to have a lot of areas where you can connect with people, like B2B meetings and breakout sessions and meetups and things like that.
And yeah, I think all that stuff is great. And as someone that played in bands for a long time, I tried a lot of different things, but I didn't necessarily have a roadmap, or know what was the right avenue to go down. And I was also, the person in the band that did all the business.
Yeah.
So, I was always kind of trying to figure out, what the right avenue was. Um, and I just want to applaud you. I think it's really important work, to be developing education for independent artists. I think there's a lot of predators out there, in terms of trying to sell deals to artists about, well, if you just give me this, I'll help you with this, or you know I'll get you this amount of plays and all that kind of thing. And
Oh man.
I'm they're out there. So I think it's great to empower artists to just know what the system is. Maybe they do need to hire somebody to help them with it, but at least to have their own knowledge about what's really important and what's not. And the fan base and fan base that buys merch. I mean, the Chicago Cubs, they did win the World Series 5 years ago, but before that they were horrible forever. And
But
but yet
they kept trying, and
yeah, but their merch sales and their stadium sales, it's a whole thing. So let's transition. Now, okay, so pandemic hits, Indie Week goes virtual, and as we were talking offline, this is the future. For festivals, conferences, is kind of this virtual space. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on that?
absolutely. I think I'm seeing people connect like never before. And I know our audience has grown like never before in the sense that the age range has widened. We've had people that I've seen in the comments. I'm 75 years old, songwriter, still learning. But then also people with accessibility that might not have been able to actually go to a physical location. They're tuning in, and it's been just so great to see. And these are the positives that come out as results that we didn't expect. We didn't know exactly what we're in for when we're doing it. But if anything, what it is you have to think there's a digital space and there's a physical space. And I think that they both complement and augment each other. And I can't tell you a number of times there's been indie shows, empty venues, where now if you can use online to build audience and then play that show, it'll be way more successful. And it's online is the conversation. You really need to build rapport with your audience, get to know their demographics, where they are. Data allows you to do that as well. But really, like, people add value. That's the phrase that we've been using because they really do. And you have to respect your audience. You have to treat them well. And I said backstage, real simple phrase, like people are like, how do I make more money? Sell more things to more people. Just keep it
Right.
really simple. I'm not making enough. You don't have enough people. Go get people, right? And
Yeah.
I think so many people focus on things that make money before they have people to buy those things.
Right.
And therefore, I can't tell you the number of artists. I'm one that had like boxes of CDs in a closet, or
I'm
wow,
another.
I still have a whole bunch of shirts. I didn't have enough people to sell them to. So
Right.
so focus on people and talk to people. And it's funny, like they feel there's this communication barrier, and I'm like, I'll talk to an artist, like, just talk to people, like, how do I do that? I just start a conversation. Hi,
Right.
I see that you often go to the venue that I play at. Have you seen any good bands lately? Like, not,
Right.
here's my bio, here's my MP3, here's my YouTube, here's my links, here's everything I've done. I don't know you, and here's some more stuff.
Right.
Anytime anybody does that, I just hit delete.
Well, it's the human.
I do
You're saying
nothing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the human connection virtually, right? That's important. making a personal connection, and people feel involved, and people they you'll get genuine fans that way. In terms of running the festival, do you have people that are online responding, kind of, watching the chat forums, and engaging with your audience? Like, how do you do that on an operational standpoint?
Yeah, and I often jump in too. Like, uh, I'll show you. This is the other thing that I'll do. I'll do it live for you. Why not? Right? I'm going to my Instagram, and who will I pick on today? Uh, I will go to, oh, of course, oh, Maddie Old Music, and then I just go to a message, and so recording. Hey, Madison, Maddie, hope you're doing well. This is Daryl from Indie Week. Not sure if you're able to tune in next week, but just let me know, and hope to see you there.
Hmm.
Right. So, sorry, my thing just there we go. So that's the thing is like it actually you don't even have to type anything, and
Right.
so that's even personal. They'll remember it a lot more, and we get more results at not because often if we were texting, sometimes you get a thumbs up,
Yeah.
and then the conversation is ended. And you know what's come out of this as a result is, oh, by the way, I work at a music export office in Africa. Could we participate? Oh, by the way, I know somebody that has a tech company that would be a good speaker for you. And so opportunities happen that you can't plan. And that these are all the things that build what I call momentum.
Hmm.
And all I know is when you do nothing, you get nothing. And going back to the hockey metaphor, the one I've been using is the people who score are the ones who take shots at the net. And the ones that are the top scorers are probably the ones that shoot the most at the net.
Hmm.
So, and the ones that don't score take no shots. So
Right.
you got to take a lot of shots to get results. And I think as indie artists, we all kind of know that you got to do a lot to kind of get that one chance. But use this online space. Like it's actually quite amazing. I've connected with so many people over the year that I don't know. And as far as programming, next week we've got Marky Ramone talking for us from the Ramones.
Right.
We've got Michael Anthony Alago. He signed Metallica. We've got Steve Stewart managed Stone Temple Pilots. And
Yeah, I saw that.
it's easy. Like we are able to actually have higher level speakers because they just start spending an hour online with us, not flying, don't have to worry about hotels and travel schedules and conflicts and all of this kind of stuff. And the other thing to note about conferences, it's a way to get so much done in a short period of time because so many people are there wanting to work together. And online right now, just to give you an example, this is the week before Indie Week. We're talking. I did a podcast yesterday or day before. Uh, Tomorrow, I'm presenting artists in a festival conference online in Brazil. We're doing a panel on Sunday for a conference in Brazil. Next week during Indie Week, I'm actually doing a panel for a conference in Spain online. The week after is Montreal. The week after that is Peru and Taiwan. We're presenting artists and panelists at all of these. So we're actually able to get so much more done, and I don't have to travel anywhere. And that is so amazing.
Yeah, it's the ability to be international without having to buy plane tickets. I mean, that's, and the access to, I know for a couple things that I've programmed in the past year, I've gotten some high level speakers because of them just having to tap in, to a stream, and share kind of their industry knowledge, which has been great.
That's
And
it.
it's been
And so
awesome
like
to get
imagine
that.
grabbing this audience, like if it's like, hey, I'm at this conference in Peru and I'm gonna get to know everybody, maybe I'll play there in 12 months. But in 12 months, I'm going to keep this conversation with this group of people. Maybe one's a promoter, or they can introduce me to a promoter. And maybe there's a booker and they'll book higher level shows for me in Peru than me trying to book a show in Peru. And it's from your living room,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
It is. And so, so yeah, obviously we've talked about, we're excited, as an industry, and you're excited about the virtual world and kind of the possibilities of connection that has opened up. I like the focus on accessibility, older people being able to check it out, and then just as on an international level, um, connecting with more partners. Shifting, into kind of the future, what do you see happening in the next 5 years? Facebook just announced the metaverse. We're kind of heading in that direction. You talked about your girlfriend's kids spent $50 in Fortnite in 5 minutes. So and I really liked how you focused on, listen, like companies and brands, they are going to look to what the youth are consuming, and how they are, receiving information for the future.
And big part is economics,
Hmm.
cost versus profit, right? So we're going to be in this weird shift, right? And things are happening faster than ever before. In my lifetime, I remember when there was an 8-track, vinyl, cassettes, CDs, download MP3s, or like you had to pay to download, and now
Right.
streaming. And streaming is at a point where no one owns anything. We can only listen if it's on Spotify or Apple, but say there's a distribution or a publishing deal that changes and like they just pull the song, we don't even know it's not available until we try to find it. We can't find it. And then it's nowhere. So like there's
Hmm.
no physical product. We don't own it, right? And it used to be we collected things. I've got the 4 different remix single versions, and it's imported from Japan and Germany
Right.
of this exact single. I paid $50. I waited 3 months for it. Like there was this other type of value to it. Now it's kind of disposable. It's almost like people have used the term utility. It's like a utility bill. You pay for water, get it, and you turn the tap, it's on, and off, it's off, and like you don't own it. So the thing is, now all the big companies are looking at how do they monetize, and if everybody's online, how do they make money off of it? They've done the tests through Roblox and Fortnite hosting concerts and such, and really successful. Last year Metallica did one performance, recorded it, and then it was beamed to hundreds of drive-ins across the states. So you got to think of it in terms of, Metallica. I'm just going to use them as maybe for the lack of an example, but here's a band that's toured forever, but now they play one show and then it's beamed out to all of these drive-ins, but they've got this high quality video too. That think of all the things that are going on that could turn into a music documentary that now goes on Netflix, Amazon, and creates more income. That recording goes on to Spotify as a live album release, possibly with a few tracks that weren't played there, or like additional bonus tracks or different versions, different edits and such. And then once that all goes through that round, all those live videos get chopped up and put onto YouTube, and then they make money through content ID and royalties there. One performance, right? So you got to think, if you were in their position to do that, you go, how much money do I make when I go to 10 cities compared to this? And then, oh, maybe what it is every 8 months we perform one of our albums front to back. Oh, we've got 13 of those. Oh, so I've got 13 years of one concert a year. And if you think of the UFC model, it is in a stadium. It's sold out. How much are ringside tickets? $10,000, $5,000. But it's on pay-per-view, right? So I think what the terminology that we might be misaligned is, we're always saying live streaming, but maybe it needs to turn into pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's really the same kind of model, same kind of concept.
Absolutely.
Live performance in one stadium, sold out. And if you think of a UFC event, it's like a week event. You could buy the VIP passes, you get to see the training sessions, you get to see the press conference. There's probably a dinner kind of gala with all the fighters and stuff. So there's a whole week that could take place leading up to that one event that they can also make money on: meet and greets and autograph signings and photos and merch. And if anything new means new opportunities. And I really think if artists start thinking in this way, and it can start at a 30 capacity room level, 50 capacity room level, it doesn't have to be huge, right? But if you're able to sell out a 50 capacity room but have 100 people online tuning in, you're making more money than you would have before anyways. So
Yeah, the
it's amazing.
possibilities. Yeah, the possibilities are definitely endless. And thinking about how to use your content, as a way to grow your fan base, to grow revenue, I think is what I'm interested in terms of strategy behind that, right? Because there is so much content, there is so many platforms. How are you able to directly get in touch with the fans you need to that will be interested, in your music? So the last thing I wanted to just ask you about quickly before we end our talk today is a little bit about the stuff that you're doing with CD Baby. You're the director of market development for Canada. Can you talk a little bit about that role and what CD Baby is kind of up to these days?
Yeah, absolutely. It all came about as like I had who's my boss now, Ellie Del Moral. He was a guest speaker at Indie Week, and then came back saying, "Wow, Canada's doing really well. We should have somebody there." And so we talked, and luckily I was hired. I'm just over 2 years in, and it's very symbiotic. It's very like same kind of mindset. And I really respect CD Baby. I've known the company almost from the start. I actually used to message the owner at the time, Derek. Um, and a lot of the messaging is we want to educate artists. So therefore, if you look up, there's a DIY blog, DIY podcast. We also have a DIY conference, one in Austin and one in Valencia. So a big focus is education.
Hmm.
We are a distributor. We get the music out there to the world, but really the success is when the artist is successful. And so a lot of times you hear like, oh, I put it up and nothing happened. I put it up, nothing happened. So it's really important to educate the artists on how to be as successful as you can when you are releasing music, and how to collect your royalties and your money so that you're getting paid for what you're doing, because so many times money's left on the table. A big part is under CD Baby Pro, we have two levels. There's a standard and pro. I'm always pushing pro. Like we're basically the publishing administrator, which means we register your music worldwide, and if
Right.
it's played anywhere, we collect and pay out the artist. And during COVID, that's actually been really a positive for artists, because if any money comes in, we pay the next week, not wait 6 months, not wait till it's certain time of the year or anything like that. It's like if money comes in, artist gets paid next week. During COVID, for cash flow reasons, obviously artists needed to get paid. So we've had a lot of positives there. I'm part of the international team, so we do have reps around the world in different territories doing a lot of the same work, and that means we're localized and understand the local markets. And so my role is also to get to know who's using CD Baby in Canada and how can I help. Uh,
Hmm.
and it does work with what I'm doing with Indie Week, because it's all about education, and we do give out free tickets to Indie Week for CD Baby artists in Canada and things like that. We don't want to have barriers up for them, and yeah, it's just getting people to know about CD Baby and what we're doing, and again, a lot of the focus is education, and then making sure artists are getting paid properly, collecting their money, and setting up their business. It's a tough one.
It is, yeah, and I remember CD Baby was the first kind of independent place that you could, register your CD, and they would take care of a lot of stuff. So, big shout out to CD Baby for, developing, technology and kind of an industry in its own, that indie artists could use, instead of going the traditional record label route, if that wasn't happening for you at the time. Well, Darryl, I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you got lots going on. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Everyone, go check out indieweek.com, register. Darryl's building some incredible things. I mean, the lineup of panelists and speakers, and the whole thing is top notch, and the price is super affordable for what you're getting. So I think that I would encourage everyone to go check out indieweek.com. Darryl, do you want to say anything else about it before we head out?
Yeah, sure. I'll do a couple plugs. We do an Indie Weekly every Tuesday, 4 o'clock Toronto time, and it's free to sign up. It's a weekly discussion very similar to this. We have guests and we also allow Q&As. Indie Week is next week, and lots of great panels and discussions. Some focused on how to get grants, how to work your export and international markets, but also health and wellness, publishing, distribution, marketing. Marky Ramone from the Ramones. I'm so stoked to have Marky Ramone talk. Steve Stewart, manager of Stone Temple Pilots, sharing strategies on how to, build an artist to be successful. And also Michael Anthony Lago, who signed Metallica. And then just quick plugs. We launched 3 other conferences. Screen by Screen is in February, and that's music and tech. So think AI, VR, blockchain, future. And then Indie 101 is April, and that's really educational, more like how-tos and presentations as well. And then Music Pro Summit is September, and that's high-level discussions. Like we had Spotify, Deezer, and the likes. So we've got stuff happening all year now. And what we've seen is it's helping artists to grow from one to another and build really meaningful connections throughout the year. So stay tuned. It's all at indieweek.com, and next week's going to be rocking.
Yeah, it's going to be great. That's fantastic. Well, all of those programs throughout the year sound amazing. Thanks again for taking the time to talk to us today, Darryl. I wish you the best of luck for next week, and we'll definitely be in touch for future events and programs and stuff. But thanks again.
Thank you so much.
There you have it, everyone. Darryl Hurs, founder of indieweek.com. He is building a lot of really interesting things for artists and for musicians. Indie Week being next week. Check that out. I'll throw it one more time, indieweek.com. Register, see what he has going on next week. But it also sounds like there's also a lot of other programs that are happening throughout the year. What is the future of our industry? Building education, which is what the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship focuses on, the 101s of how to build an artist career. My name is Daniel Crane. I am the program director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. Check us out at cceglobal.org. Click on events, see what we're doing. Let us know what you would like to learn about to help build your career. That's it for today, our Global Industry Spotlight. We wish everyone a wonderful rest of the week and take care.